To set up your pop art canvas, first you will open up the file of yourself that you have isolated from the background. You will go to the magic wand tool. You will select the background. You will go to select and inverse so that you are selected now, not the background, and you will go to edit copy, which puts you into the clipboard. You can then X out of your picture and go to file and go to new. First thing you want to do is change the pixels to inches. Now for a portrait, we're going to change the width to 7, and we're going to change the height to 10. And we're going to change the resolution to 200, and we're going to leave the background contents as white and say OK. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually set up the quadrants of the page. So we're going to go to View, we're going to go to New Guide, and for the vertical, since it's 7 inches wide, that would be 3.5 inches to divide it down the middle. So we'll say OK. And then we go to View, New Guide again. And this time for the horizontal, because it's 10 inches, we're going to make it 5 inches to divide it across the middle. Now these guides will not print. They are just to help you as you line up your project. The next thing we're going to do is go to Edit, and remember the picture that you've isolated of yourself should be in the clipboard. We're going to say to Paste. Now it's going to come in rather large, and notice it came in a new layer. First thing we're going to do is go to Edit. We're going to go to Transform. We're going to go to Scale. And we're going to take the handlers, and we're going to get the diagonal handler, and you're going to hold the Shift key down. And this is going to allow you to scale and keep the image in proportion as you scale. You may need to haul it up again. You may need to play with this a little bit to get it so it's going to fit into the box correctly, and that looks just about right. Once you do that, you hit the Enter key, and that sets the transformation. Now we want to take the color. All right, and I'm going to come over to Layer 1, and I'm going to double click where it says the words Layer 1, and I'm going to call this Bottom Right, so that when I go to work there, I'll know which layer that one is. So now what I'm going to do is take the magic wand tool again, and I'm going to select the background, and I'm going to go to Select, and I'm going to say Inverse, so that Sam is the only one selected. I'm going to go to Filter, and I'm going to go to Sketch. Oh, I haven't reset my colors. I have to do that first. I'm going to click on the little black and white default foreground and background colors because I want him to be like a photocopy, black and white. Now I'm going to go to Filter. I'm going to go to Sketch, and I'm going to go to Photocopy. And this is the one that comes up. Now I could take the detail down a little bit if I so desired, and I could take the darkness up a little bit. You could do whatever you wish. I think I like less darkness and maybe just a hair more detail. And once I've got that, I'm going to say OK. Now I have to copy him again. So I'm going to say Edit, and I'm going to say Copy. And now he's in my clipboard. So when I go to Edit and Paste, notice it created a new layer here, but I have to get my Move tool, and I have to, you don't see anything because he's sitting right on top of the other image. I move him over, and I'm going to change that layer name to Bottom Left. Click off to set it. Now, since it's in my clipboard, I can just paste 2 more times. So I'm going to paste and put this in the, I'll put this third layer in the upper right. You can do whatever you wish, right or left. And then I'm going to do Edit and Paste again, and I'm going to drag him into the upper left, and I'm going to rename that layer. Now I want to put some colors behind him. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into the background, and I am going to get my marquee tool, and I am going to just draw around the area with the guides of my upper left. And what I'm going to do now is when if it doesn't work the first time, you go and you try it again. You want to get that little crosshair. You want to draw it right to the borders of your, I've missed a little bit over here, but you could fix that later. Now I could take my paintbrush and I could go and get a color in here and say OK, and I could simply click on the gradient tool, go to the paint bucket tool, and I could just fill in a solid color if I wanted to. I want to show you something else. So I'm going to go to edit and I'm going to say undo the paint bucket, and instead I'm going to click and hold on the paint bucket to get back to the gradient tool. And if I go to the drop down arrow, there are several. Here's the one I created with the red and the white, but I could get any one of these gradients. So I'm going to choose this one right here, and I am going to go to the bottom right and drag up to the top left, or I could have done top left to bottom right, and in comes a gradient like this. Now that's because this one is selected, and I don't much like that, so I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to say undo, and I'm going to say step backward. And what I'm going to do now is get the regular default gradient, which is right here. And again, I'm going to go this time I'm going to go from the top left down to the bottom right. And that's a little bit better. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to actually get my marquee tool again. And this time I'm going to try to draw it a little bit more to actually meet the edges of the outline. In fact, I'm going to get my move tool, go back into the upper right, and I'm going to move him up just a hair. So he's in there. And then I'm going to go back into the background again. And I will have to get my marquee tool again and do another selection because I did something different there. I probably shouldn't have done that. All right, I'm going to go back to my gradient tool. I'm going to select a different gradient. I'm going to do this rainbow one, and I'm going to try from the top right and haul it down to the bottom left and see what happens. And it does fill in. Notice I have made a goof here. He's a little higher than where my guideline should be, so you're getting a gradient underneath his shirt, which shouldn't be, but you guys don't have to do that. The next thing I'm going to do is click back on the marquee tool again. Again, watch it, making sure that I'm in the background layer. I'm now going to draw another box here. If I can get this. And this time I'm going to do a solid color. And I'm just going to put red in, I guess. I'll say OK, and then I'm going to hold down on the gradient tool, get my paint bucket tool, and put it in. And there's a neat thing you can do here. What you can do is you can go and get your paintbrush tool, and when you go to the drop down, when you click on the paintbrush tool, the drop down arrow, you see diameters and hardnesses. You can also go to this little flyout, and you can go to special effects brushes. And I'm going to say OK. And what I'm going to do is go down and get one of my special effects brushes. I guess I'll get these little circly things here. And then what I can do is, I guess, change my foreground color and go OK. And now I can paint. Maybe I need it a little bit bigger than that. Mask the diameter, and I need my opacity to be up here to 100%. And now I can paint little swirls in the background with my special effects brush. If I wanted to, I could go and get another brush, a little different one. If I get the butterfly one, that does a multicolored thing. I'm going to make the diameter a little bit bigger, and this makes like little butterflies. But because I'm in the background layer, even if I go in front of his face, they go behind. All right. Now you'll do the same thing for the fourth one. The last thing you're going to learn how to do, I'm going to do Control D to deselect, is I'm going to click actually into the upper right quadrant, which if I go to my move tool, you'll see this is it right here. And I'm going to actually start making Eric different colors. So this time I'm going to go back to the paintbrush, and I'm going to make him kind of a green. So I'm going to go get the green, and I'm going to choose a green and say OK. And now I need my opacity on my paintbrush to be about 50%, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to see him. Also, don't forget, you got to go back and reset your brushes. So I'll say reset the brushes and say OK. And then I'm going to scroll up. I like number 3, I guess. And then I'm going to bring up the diameter a little bit. And you can change the diameter as you want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start painting. in this layer. And I'm going to give him some green hair. And I'm not doing very well. My mouse isn't cooperating right now, but you get the drift. And then I could go and I could get a different color, maybe get a blue, and say, okay. And this time I might want to bring my opacity up a little higher. And I could bring my brush size down a little bit lower. And I can give him actually a nice bright blue eye. And a blue eye here. Then I might want to go and get another color. Get maybe a purple down here. Say okay. And I'm going to bring my opacity down just a little, not as low as before, about 75%. Get my brush tool again, and this time I'm going to get I'm going to go to a smaller diameter, and I'm going to paint in kind of purple lips here. And if I wanted to, I could actually come right up here, and if I wanted to, I could, make a hat on him, something like this. And if I connect the lines, and I go to the bucket fill, and I could bucket fill. Oops, it's not going to do it for me because I haven't selected it. I'm going to have to do it with the paintbrush. All right, and then I could paint in a hat on him or something like that. So use your creative imagination. You're a lot more creative than I am. I'm going to give him good ears here. I'm going to make him like a pixie and give him pixie ears. And I'm going to make him even, so I'm going to go over here and give him a pixie ear over on the other side. But you guys can do what you want to do. And I hope that you have a lot of fun with this project.